Hello everyone, and welcome to Respawn Together. If you found this channel, thank you for being here. This isn't just another gaming channel. It's a place where you can enjoy games together. We'll have an honest conversations about something that affects millions of people worldwide, but often goes unspoken. Men's mental health and depression. Many men grew up with this, believing that they have to stay strong, hide their emotions, and deal with everything on their own. But truth is, that struggling with your mental health doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The channel is about building a community where nobody feels judged for speaking honestly, whether you're going through a difficult time, supporting someone else, or just simply want to learn more, you're welcome here. There will be gameplay of the Johnsons, from the Johnson family. There's Jeff himself, don't know what he's doing, looks like he's washing his hands. So I hope it gives you fun entertainment. My hope is that every video reminds someone that they aren't facing their challenges alone. So thank you for joining me on this journey. Grab a drink, settle in. Let's chill out with Johnson's and see what's going on. While we talk about what matters most, men's mental health. Because no one should have to fight their battles alone. So, what is depression? Depression is a medical condition. It's not a weakness, laziness, or lack of willpower. It does affect everything in your daily life. It affects how somebody thinks, feels, behaves, sleeps, eats. It just affects everything around them with what they're doing. Also, with that being said, it also messes with their day-to-day life functions. Symptoms with depression can last 2 days, 2 weeks, but often continue for months, if untreated, years. Just put that into perspective for a few minutes. Can you imagine trying to live with that for like 4 years of your life? It's not a way to live your life. A few facts, a few global facts about depression is that around 332 million people worldwide are estimated to be living with depression. It's a lot of people. Some people might even not know that they have it. They're just scared to get that diagnosis of it. And that's one of the saddest things. Now, approximately 5.7% of adults globally experience depression. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Now, putting the statistics into men and women, which is what I like to do on this channel sometimes. Even though it is about men's depression and mental health, I do like to involve women in it as well sometimes. Around 4.6 of men and 6.9 of women are estimated to experience depression. So women do suffer with it a bit more than men, but we do still suffer from it, guys. And depression, as it is one of the most leading causes of disability. And it is a disability. You'll not be able to do the normal things that you do in daily to daily life. You won't be able to get up and go to work. There'll be days where you don't want to go to work. There'll be days where you don't want to get up and even just live life, let alone get through the day. But only about 1/3 of people with depression in high income countries receive treatment. People that have treatments rate are lower in many other countries. It is quite, it's quite an annoying one, that is. Now, how does it affect us men? So, depression within men, although diagnosed depression, so it can be diagnosed, is more common in women. Many experts believe depression in men is under-recognised and undiagnosed because men are often likely to seek help or, let's face it, describe emotional symptoms. We don't do it, guys. So, because it is a fact, I know people that have gone through it as females. They do open up, they do talk when they want to. They feel comfortable being one-to-one with another lady. Us men, we don't. And from experience, men may be more likely to experience depression through the eyes of anger or irritability, emotional numbness, overworking, including your job. You could overwork in your job, you could overwork at home, increased alcohol or substance abuse, risk-taking behaviour, which is a massive one, because you could be crossing the road and be going, you know, if there's a car coming, just how many of us has done this where the car's coming, just forget it, I'll just run across the road. Not spending time with family and friends, proper withdrawing from them. Physical complaints, constantly saying I've got headaches, I'm not feeling very well, I've got chronic pain. You feel like you're a burden. I know I've done that a few times where I feel like I'm a burden to everybody, always saying to them, have I upset you, have I done something wrong? That can be a form of depression as well, where it's like anxiety / paranoia depression. And the big one is loss of motivation, because, example, who wants to get up and go and do something when they feel depressed? Who wants to get up and go for a walk? Who wants to get up and go around the corner? Who wants to get up and go to work? No one wants to do that while they're depressed. They don't want to. And, you know, sometimes these can hide depression, making it harder to identify for somebody to look at. It's not like we wear it as a badge and we go, oh, you know, tonight, Matthew, I'm depressed. No. We want to hide it sometimes, because there's men out there that do want to hide it. Heck, I hid it for years. But the more that I'm doing this channel, the more that I feel more open, and I feel more... The only way I can put it is, I have more of a reason I can sleep better at night by opening up on this channel. So the common causes and risk factors of depression usually develops from several factors rather than one single cause. So it's not normally just one thing, like relationship breakdown, divorce or separation, financial pressure. There's a long list. So the long list does conceive of bereavement, relationship breakdowns. You could lose your girlfriend, you could lose your partner, you missed her. Divorce from, again, you missed her or your missus. Separation from the kids. Financial pressure, where you've got to keep, you know, pursuing constantly. Like, I have to work 2 jobs to provide for a family. It can be very depressing. You know, you got that risk of unemployment, losing your job. Stress of a workplace, where you're working with people that not as much team working as you are, or you're not going to be as much team working as they should. They need you to help provide help because you're depressed. Long-term illnesses, example cancer, headaches, strokes, back injuries, a broken leg, anything like that, chronic pain. Massive one that I've noticed causes depression is military service or emergency service trauma. Now, I know a lot of people that work in the military, and yeah, it can affect them massively mentally, as well as people that work in the emergency services like police, ambulance services, trauma, you know, emergency trauma surgeon. You know, it can affect you, it really can, because you've got to take that work home with you. So whatever you see, you've got to take that work home with you, and it can play in your mind. That really narrows it down to the next subject, which is childhood trauma. Childhood trauma, it can be like abuse from parents, it can be parents not being respectful or loved. I mean, we all know the great legendary Sylvester Stallone. His mother asked him to always be the best person that you can, etc. But then when he went to the Oscars and he sat down and he asked his mother, "Can you please come to the Oscars with me to receive my Oscar for Rocky?" She said no, and that really affected Stallone. It did. There's loads of videos on it where you can look it up. It really did mess with his head a lot. Bullying at school, but bullying at school is not necessarily just bullying at school. You can get bullied in a workplace, you can get bullied on the street, you can get bullied online, you can get bullied on social media, you can get bullied anywhere nowadays. Social isolation, where you don't want to you don't want to go out, you don't want to do anything. Oh, fix my toaster. Social isolation, as we were talking about. You can just don't want to do anything. You just get up and you just sit there. Then you've got the motivation to play video games to de-stress you. Poor sleep. Poor sleep can definitely be a massive one. Substance misuse, genetics, unfortunately, having the difference between your mum and dad can determine whether you do have depression or not. It can. It's a biological fact. But when we do have depression, as men, sometimes we do hide it. Sometimes we do bottle it in. Sometimes we do just leave it with maybe a drink of a night or an alcohol beverage or something like that. And that's okay. But when you get to the point where you can't handle that, then you do have to seek help. Maybe speak to a friend. Speak to somebody that you've trusted for years that won't judge you, and let them listen. And as gamers, we do play games, and this is where the problem comes, because as gamers, all it takes is like a little row with your wife, it's normal with your mister or your missus, and they piss you off and you have a row, and then you're at that high rate level, and then you go and sit down, you play your game. You can't concentrate on your game, but you escape that argument through the reality of another game, which is like the reality of a game. So we do substitute sometimes online gaming for reality, and it is bad, but that's our escape. This is what this channel's here for. We can play games, or I can play any game for you, or you can jump in with me on chat and we can just have a laugh. Also, we can talk about what's going on as well, because I feel like a lot of people do not open up, and I can't stress that enough. But somebody experiencing depression, again, from somebody who has experienced it, still does, you might, this is a list that I've put down, and personally you might, from somebody who's experienced it, these are my experiences, and then like you might see somebody that has these experiences and you'll be like, oh okay then, I listened to that online. So these are just things that I was involved with. Persistent sadness, feeling empty, losing interest in your hobbies, fatigue, sleeping too much or too little, changes in appetite, very difficulty concentrating, feelings of guilt or worthlessness, hopelessness, avoiding your friends, family, reduced work performance, and thoughts that life weren't living. So persistent sadness, it's just constantly sadness. You're like a hollow. You just bang, 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 just get on with daily life and you just feel sad all the time. Feeling empty, it does really narrow it down to that. It's the same feeling. That's what I got anyway. Losing interest in your hobbies, like I'd love to play my video games because I'm an actual gamer and I love it. And I've got a massive variety of games, and I just lose concentration. I don't want to do it I load the game up, I sit there for an hour and I don't do nothing because I don't want to do anything because I'm not in that mental state to do it. Fatigue, just feel tired all the time. I feel tired over time from overwhelmingness and overthinking. Changes in appetite. And my wife will make me food and I won't eat it. I'll eat bits of it, but I won't eat it, and then she has to push me to eat it. And she's fabulous, she's amazing. Difficulty concentrating. That really includes reduced work performance, because when you're not concentrating at work and you're not doing the job that you know you can do, and everybody's telling you, look, you can do this job, you know what you're doing, so what's the matter? That really affects not just the business, but it affects the people around you, and they notice something's wrong with you. Avoiding people. That goes to like eating in the changing room when you're having your dinner. Putting headphones on when you're eating your dinner. Sitting in a room that's got a locked door. Like, you go into your spare room or something and then you sit there. No, I do have a gaming room, but like, whenever the wife's in the house, I do normally just like open the door, just so then that way then I can speak to her and she knows I'm okay. But there's so many things that like you can interact with and contradict. Like I said, it can affect men's lives in many ways or forms. It can massively affect your relationships. It can massively affect your parenting with your kids. Massively affect your employment, financial stability, because if you're not at that peak performance that you know you are every other day, but you just feel depressed, or you're suffering with depression, then because no one's listening to you, your performance at work is slacking, and that can really affect your life, because if you get the chop, then you've got no income. Your physical health as well, because when your physical health is affected from depression, like I said earlier, you don't want to do anything. Your body really just doesn't want to do anything. Your bones are all achy, and it shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to feel like that. Your confidence is definitely out the window. Definitely out the window. Same as motivation and decision making. But there are a few things that we will go down the road with, because there are a lot of things that, with each subject that we will discuss, it does interact with a lot of the videos that we did before. Now we will go through the Suffering in Silence videos again, because we was a little bit less confident on them, because Hitman really carried us on that, because he was fantastic. He was brilliant, because it was my first time being on YouTube, so I was really nervous talking. But we will discuss that again with him, and we will get him back on the show, and we'll have an even more in-depth look of what's going on. But this channel is not necessarily for, people to just come in and bang open up and tell everybody the problem. It's about making people feel confident about living their daily lives with these conditions, and if they need help, then we can advise them how to get the help. Again, I'm not a professional, I'm not a mental health professionalist, I'm not a GP, but the only thing I can do is give you advice from my experiences. But why don't men ask for help? Like we discussed the other day, it's the fear of being judged, fear of appearing weak. Mainly, men just want to deal with it alone, which is not the case. You shouldn't have to deal with it alone. It's really bad. It's a massive thing, really. It's the embarrassment of it. Can you imagine going to tell somebody that you're depressed and you're really, really opening up, you're crying, and they just take the piss? Or they'll just say, just man up. Just say, just get on with it. Or just say, oh, get on with it, you'll be fine. Everybody suffers with it. And then that makes you worry about your career, because you're worried about how people are going to look at you at work. Previous negative experiences. So, example, like I just said, you go to somebody and you say, oh, I'm a little bit down today. I'm really a bit down today. I feel really depressed. I feel really, and you wouldn't have to say depressed. You just feel like I'm having a really rough week and I don't know how to cope with it, and I'm really down because of it. Like, without being funny or anything, if somebody turns around and says to you, "Oh, just man up and get on with it," you ain't gonna go and ask somebody else, are you? You're gonna have the courage to go and ask somebody else, because I know I wouldn't. This is why people have to listen when we talk to them instead of just mocking or laughing. Well, there's a few common myths that we'll go through anyway. So myth number 1 is men should man up. No. The fact is, depression is a recognised medical condition. And, like I just said, we shouldn't just man up. No. Don't just man up. Why should we just man up? Have a think about that for a moment. Just man up. No. It's what stops us from opening up in the first place when people make comments like that. Because I've had it myself personally, and it's horrible. Get over it. No. Not at all. If it was easy to get over, I wouldn't complain about it. You will go through a few people that will mock you or won't understand you, but then when that one person does listen, it opens a whole can of worms for people, and they will notice it and be like, "Whoa, I should have listened to you." And it's like, yeah, but now I can't talk to you about it because you mocked me before about it, and I've had it myself, personal experiences. Myth number 2: depression means somebody's weak. No, the fact is, it affects people from every background, including athletes, personal, military, doctors, business leaders, and celebrities. You can be the richest person on the planet and still suffer with depression. You can be the poorest man on the street with a box as a bed. You still suffer from depression. We are all human. We are all the same. Everybody is equal. And that's the hardest. That's one of the things that people don't get. Like myth number 3: depression will disappear if ignored. I really wish it did. I really wish it did. I will admit now from personal experience, there are days where some days I get up and it's not on my mind, but then I'll wake up the next day and then it'll take something like me being in pain and then I am depressed, and then I have to get up and do stuff. I have to really motivate myself, because no one wants to sit around all day doing nothing. It's just not good mentally, let alone good. It's not good. But the fact is, it often becomes worse without support or treatment. And this is the truth, it is. It really does. Because it's the same as suffering with depression or any mental health illness. If it isn't treated, it's the same as, like for example, like if you have a broken leg, or a broken arm, or a punctured lung. If you don't go to the doctors and you treat that, or you go to the hospital and treat it, it's just going to get worse over time. Example, it can't last for 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 years. It lasts for years. Depression can be there like a 2-ton medallion round your neck. So while we're on the subject of that, what helps recovery? There are evidence-based treatments out there, and these are really good. That you can do talking therapies, such as cognitive behavioural therapy. You can speak to a professional. They are out there. You can see, I know people that you can see your GP and then you be honest with them. Because a friend of mine, I won't name him on the chat, but a friend of mine was going through bad depression, and this person, they went to the GP, they told me, we had a little mental health discussion when they're down, it's fantastic, and he basically turned around and said that they put him on antidepressants, and it's working, but to a degree. So, you know, if you have to go on medication prescribed by a GP or a therapist, then there's no shame in that. As long as you can live a happy life and you're better than healthier than you was before, then that's all that matters. It's one life that's been saved, theoretically. Doing things that make you happy can make you recover, like regular exercise. It doesn't have to be perfect exercise, like going to the gym, being a bodybuilder. Sorry, not the gym. Going to the gym, being a bodybuilder. You know, you can go and just do jogging on a treadmill. You can go running around the park. You can go jogging. You can get yourself motivated to do like kneeling press ups if you can do that, and then start doing normal press ups, and then start doing one-handed press ups just to get that, you know, includement of motivation to improve on something. Getting better sleep habits, setting yourself an alarm clock. Get yourself an alarm clock and get them anywhere. You got them on your phones. You just set an alarm and go, right, I'm going to bed. One of the things that's really helped me out is before I go to sleep, I always listen to about half an hour to an hour of a black screen with rain noise and thunder. It's been doing me really well. That's really been relaxing my brain every night before I go to bed. It is a rogue routine, but it really does help. And to be honest, it really relaxes my dog, and it also relaxes my wife as well. We all relax, and it's lovely. If you are on alcohol and you massively dependent on it, as well as the substance uses, then maybe just reduce them. But definitely, if you are in that category, speak to somebody, please, because you're gonna need a lot of help to get through that one. You can't just do that alone. Manage your stress. Now, really good friend of mine, he knows who he is. He told me how to manage my stress, and he gave me one of the best advices that I ever had in my life, which was, say like somebody takes the piss out of you at work or talks about you behind your back, and it really affects you. Ask yourself this question: will it affect your life in 2 days, 2 months, or 2 years? Answer them 3 questions in your head, and if the answer's no to all of them, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's really been helping me out a lot, that is. And people's opinions doesn't matter. As long as you know the truth, and you know it's the truth, then that's all that matters. But here's some important statistics about depression. Depression affects humans of millions and hundreds of humans worldwide. So depression does affect hundreds of millions of humans worldwide. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. 4.6% of men are estimated to have depression. 6.5% don't even know, well, let's just say 1% more doesn't even know that they have it. It is a really scary one. Mental disorders affect around 970 million people worldwide, with anxiety and depression being the most common. Now, there's a preview of what we're going to be discussing next: anxiety. Now, I'll be okay on the next video because obviously depression is something that I have been and suffering with. So, anxiety is going to be okay for me. Depression and its brother anxiety together account for approximately 12 billion lost working days every year. That's a lot of days. Costing the global economy nearly 1 trillion in lost productivity. That's a lot of days off work due to sickness, due to mental health problems. And the sad thing is, I'm not saying people are in that 970 million people category, but most of them probably don't want to get it treated because they're embarrassed or they're too upset. It's quite sad, that is. here's some really good facts. Some really good facts that I found out anyway. So, the treatment of depression has changed dramatically over the centuries, and it really has. Many early methods were based on beliefs that we now know were effective or even harmful. So, around the times of around 3000 BC, 500 AD, depression was often believed to be caused by evil spirits, causes, curses, or punishment from the gods. Right? Now, the treatments for this would include prayer, religious rituals, sacrifices, chanting, or even exorcisms. Now, this ain't BS. This is facts, my friend. This is facts. Now, in ancient Greece, the physician Hippocrates suggested that depression, then called melancholia, was linked to the imbalance of bodily fluids called the four humours. Treated involved rest, exercise, diet changes, music, baths, and herbal remedies. That's madness, that is, isn't it? So as we get closer to our timeline, in the Middle Ages, 500 to 1500 AD, in many places mental illness was again often seen as a spiritual problem. So can you imagine having, the viewer now is watching, can you imagine having your mental health issue like me? I do suffer with depression. Can you imagine living a normal life in that timeline? I wouldn't want somebody whacking an exorcism on me. I wouldn't want somebody telling me off, you know what I mean? Or I'd be like, who are you? Like, you know, don't talk to me like that. it's really, it's madness the way, it's really mad the way this has been around for generations, and it's different ways of treating it. That's madness. But some people with depression were cared for by religious communities. Others faced fear, stigma, or harmful practices such as exorcisms if their condition was misunderstood or worse than normal. Compassionate care existed in some religions, but knowledge of mental health was limited. So they didn't even want to, looks like they didn't even want to look into it, to be honest, guys. Now, the 1700s to the 1800s, doctors increasingly viewed depression as a medical condition rather than a supernatural one. So we are getting there now. And the treatments that they did use back in the 1700s and 1800s was just simple fresh air, exercise, rest, change of diet, and talking with a doctor or family. Now, unfortunately, some people were placed in institutions where conditions varied greatly, and some treatments were very harsh or effectively by today's standards. So, moving on to the early 1900s, as medicine advanced, new approaches appeared. The dawn of physiotherapy, talking therapy, began to develop. Doctors explored the role of the brain in mental illnesses, not with lobotomies, not with mental illnesses, but some treatments used at the time, such as insulin shock therapy. They're not longer used because better and safer treatments are become available. Wow, shock therapy for the brain. That's brutal. So we got something good, which was talking therapy, and then the complete disaster, which was shock therapy. So we move on to the mid-1900s. In the 1930s, electroconsultative therapy, ECT, was introduced. Modern ECT is very different from its early form. Today it's performed under the general anaesthetic with muscle relaxants and is mainly reserved for severe depression that has not responded to other treatments. In the 1950s, the first antidepressant medication was developed, as we know, because if you suffer from depression, you're going to Google it, you're going to do your history on it. Many people, another effective treatment option. So it was there in the 1950s. We did have we did have the birth of antidepressants, which was really good. We really did. Such a weird one it is. So where do we go today? With modern day is based on scientific evidence, and this will include, or may include, talking therapies such as cognitive behavioural therapy, antidepressants, medication when approved, regular physical activity, getting you good sleep, social support, talking to friends who care and really do want to help, and healthy lifestyle changes. But here's a very interesting historical fact here. The word Manakololia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, comes from ancient Greek and means black bite and black bile. Ancient Greek physicians believed an excess of black bile caused prolonged sadness. A theory we all know is incorrect, obviously. It is one of the earliest attempts to explain depression as a medical condition rather than a personal failing. Now, one of the biggest changes over the time is that depression is now understood as a genuine health condition. While there are still stigma, today's treatments are supported by research and have helped millions of people recover or manage their symptoms. So you can get the help. The help is out there now, guys. We just need to try and talk to each other a lot more than what we normally do, because talking to each other one-on-one, I can't stress how much of a good feeling it is. It's just such a good feeling when it took me to get through a few people. There was about 4 or 5 people that I got through, and then when I got to that one person that actually did care and talked, then that person did listen, and then it was a friend from work that listened, and then that's when you know who your friends are, because they listen. And you feel better about yourself. You feel like you can open up a lot more to other people. I'll be honest, my wife says to me, why don't you open up to me? It's because I'm scared of being weak towards her. And that's just the truth. That is the truth. Here's one for you. Here's one for you before we close off, because we've got a few minutes. Did you know that, particularly between the 1930s and 1950s, they used to use lobotomies to treat severe depression. Now, for people that don't know what this is something that I will be going massively into on a special. I will be doing it on a special, I will. Let's just get Johnson back first before we actually go into this, because we need to know what Johnson's doing, the poor sod. Apparently he's going to get up now and he's going to do something, but we'll see. So, what is a lobotomy? A lobotomy was a surgical procedure that involved cutting or damaging connections in the frontal lobes of the brain. Now, the doctors hoped that it would reduce severe mental illnesses by changing how the brain processed emotions. But why was it used? At the time, there was no, antidepressants or modern psychiatric medications or anything like that. So some people had severe depression, schizophrenia, or other illnesses that did not improve with the limited treatment available. Doctors believed a lobotomy might relieve these symptoms. It's crazy, it's crazy. So there are kind of different ways that they did this. So the ice pick lobotomy, one of the most well-known famous methods, was developed by Walter Freeman in the United States. He popularised the transorbital, I said that wrong, I don't know, lobotomy, in which a surgical instrument was inserted through the area above the eye socket to reach the brain. Now, although some patients appeared calmer afterward, many experienced devastating side effects, which was minor personality changes, difficulty thinking or concentrating, massive loss of motivation, emotional flatness, problem with the memory, can't even remember anybody that I loved or anything, that must be horrific, difficulty caring for themselves, and permanent disability. Some people even endgamed from this, and some people died from the complications. So when did it stop? Well, by the 1950s and 1960s, the introduction of effective psychiatric medications and growing awareness of the risks lead to lobotomies being used are far less today. Today, they no longer even accept the treatment for depression. Really don't. They really don't. It's amazing how far we've come. There's many ways though, like that we will go into this. This is going to be a massive session. This will be on this, but just give you like a quick heads up that there are like prefrontal lobe lobotomy, the original form of lobotomy where surgeons drilled small holes through the skull and cut the connections with the frontal lobes. It was used for severe depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, and obsessive compulsive disorder. So even OCD, we're going to go into that. We're going into everything here, guys. Uh, Leucotomy. It was developed by Antonio Egias Monies in 1935. It is originally named for what is widely known as lobotomy. it involves cutting white matter pathways in the frontal part of your brain. We discussed the ice pick once, so we won't go into that. Singulotomy. Again, I think I'm saying these right, I'm not sure. I'm old. A much more targeted operation that affects a small area of the brain called the cingulate cortex. Unlike lobotomy, it is not involved cutting large areas of the frontal lobe. In rare cases today, it may be considered for severe OCD or depression that has not responded to multiple evidence-based treatments. Subcaudate. I'll give these a go, guys. Developed in the United Kingdom, aimed to interrupt specific nerve pathways linked to mood disorders. Limbic lobotomy. Not really much information on that one. I have to really look into that one. But why were they abandoned? Doctors eventually recognised that many patients experience severe long-term conditions and effects. So it affected that many people because they did it, that the effects were that strong, that like, again, loss of personality, reduced emotions, problems with memory, difficulty planning and making decisions, lack of motivation, dependence on others for daily care. What's he doing? Oh, he's playing his game, bless him. But they're not banned worldwide. They just fell out of use between the 1950s and the 1970s. They still use them, but there's no need to use them. There really isn't. But we don't have to suffer alone, guys. We don't have to suffer alone. We will go in more deep with like in more deep and go in depth with like different subjects and things like that. We will revisit subjects and talk about different things. But we will go into like lobotomies, we will go into like ways that they treat like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, things like that. We will go into all these, we will. We had some facts today which was very interesting, and we will get into more depth with it, more stats, more facts, more myths, legends, more shocking things that they did years ago. But guys, you don't have to suffer alone. You really don't. And if you like the, if you like the Johnsons, then let me know, and I'll put more of them on there. But it's just a message for us men. Many men believe that they have to carry everything on their own. In reality, depression is a health condition that can affect anyone. Speaking to somebody or someone you trust, or seeking professional support is a practical step forward to recovery. It's not a sign of weakness. You're stronger by doing this. With appropriate treatment and support, with the help of family, loved ones, and the proper professional medical care, speaking to the right person, your depression might improve and you might return to a living, fulfilling life. Just remember, guys, the last message that I'm about to say today. You're not alone. People are there to support you, like myself. I am making this channel because I want people to be aware that somebody's out there suffering. And the more people that come to this channel and recognise it, then we will get more people, and we will help people. Men shouldn't suffer alone. It's okay to not be okay, guys. It's okay not to be okay, guys. You're fine. And thank you very much for having me today. And if it just helps one person just by listening, then I'm very happy. Thank you very much, guys, and stay safe. It's okay not to be okay.